If you're a real estate investor, you know the feeling. You're staring at this endless sea of listings, trying to find that one great deal. It can be completely overwhelming.
So how do you sift through all that noise? How do you figure out which properties are actually gems and which ones are just, financial black holes waiting to happen?
Well, for decades, investors have leaned on this legendary rule of thumb. It's a quick and dirty shortcut that helps them make that first crucial cut without getting bogged down in a million spreadsheets. And that shortcut is famously known as the 1% rule. Now, it was designed to be a really simple pre-screening tool, just a first glance to see if a property is even worth your time.
The rule itself is beautiful in its simplicity. It just says that a property's gross monthly rent, that's before any expenses, should be at least 1% of the purchase price. The whole point is to give you a quick check for properties that are likely to have positive cash flow.
So, how does this actually work when the rubber meets the road? Let's run the numbers. Don't worry, the math here is super straightforward.
It's as easy as this. You take the estimated monthly rent, you divide it by the total purchase price, and if that number is 0.01 or 1% or higher, then bingo, the property passes the first test.
Okay, let's look at a quick example. Let's say you're eyeing a house for $250,000. To meet the 1% rule, it needs to bring in at least $2,500 a month in rent. A quick calculation, 2,500 divided by 250,000, yep, that's exactly 0.01. This property gets a green light.
But hold on a second, that gross rent? That's not your profit, right? You got costs, maintenance, taxes, insurance, the list goes on. So, to get a slightly better picture, investors often pair the 1% rule with a buddy.
And that buddy is the 50% rule. It's another quick estimate that says about half, 50% of your rental income will get eaten up by operating expenses. And what's really important here is that this excludes your mortgage payment. So for that house renting at $2,500, you'd budget about $1,250 for everything else.
So for a long time, these two rules were like the trusted 1-2 punch in an investor's toolkit. But the market has changed a lot. And that has put this old school wisdom directly under fire.
Which leads us to the critical question for today. Here in 2025, with crazy home prices and higher borrowing costs, does this simple math from a totally different economic era, does it still add up?
And here is the absolute core of the problem. A decade ago, you could get an investor loan for maybe 3 to 4%. Today, you're looking at 6 to 8%. That is a massive jump, and it completely rewrites the rules of profitability.
And you hear this sentiment from so many modern investors. Just like this Reddit user said, the math just doesn't hold up anymore. The argument is pretty simple. If you rigidly stick to this rule, you could end up passing on perfectly good deals, especially in strong markets, just because they don't hit some arbitrary, outdated number.
But of course, there's another side to this. Plenty of investors will tell you the rule's purpose was never to guarantee a winner. Its real job is to help you compare opportunities. If a property can't even get close to the 1% rule, maybe your money really could be working harder for you somewhere else, in another property, or heck, maybe even in the stock market.
Okay, so if the rule is just a quick first glance, what comes next? Well, you have to move from a simple guideline to a real, in-depth analysis. It's time to start digging deeper.
This next step is called due diligence, and this is where the real work and the real money is made. You're investigating everything: the physical condition of the place, the legal stuff like zoning and leases, and of course the true financial picture, which goes way beyond a simple rule of thumb.
And that financial analysis, it can get pretty sophisticated. The pros use methods like direct capitalization, which is kind of like taking a single snapshot of the property's income today, but they also use something called discounted cash flow, or DCF. Think of that one more like a movie. It projects the property's income over many years, which is way better for properties where you expect things to change.
And this brings us to a massive point that the 1% rule totally misses. If you only focus on monthly rent, you're basically judging a movie by looking at a single frame. You're missing the whole picture.
You see, a real estate investment actually makes you money in 4 different ways. Yeah, there's cash flow. That's what the 1% rule looks at. But then there's appreciation, the property's value going up over time. There's equity paydown. That's your tenants paying down your mortgage for you. And don't forget the tax benefits. You have to look at all 4 of these pillars to get the real story. And this right here, this is the real aha moment. A property that technically fails the 1% rule might still be an incredible investment. Like this user pointed out, a deal that only hits 0.8% could easily end up giving you a total annual return of 10 to 12% once you factor in appreciation and all the other pillars. That's an amazing return that the 1% rule would have told you to just walk away from.
So, after all this debate, where do we actually land? What is the role of the 1% rule in today's wild market? It's time we really redefined its purpose.
In 2025, let's be crystal clear, the 1% rule is not some magic formula. Think of it as a quick gut check. It's a blunt tool, not a surgeon's scalpel. Its only job is to be that first initial filter, to help you throw out the obvious losers so you can focus your precious time on the deals that might actually have potential.
And this might be the single most important takeaway. The 1% rule was never meant to find you the absolute best deal out there. Its value today is defensive. It's there to protect you, especially if you're a new investor, from the absolute worst deals, the ones that have zero chance of ever making you a dime in cash flow.
So this totally reframes the conversation, doesn't it? The real question isn't, does this property meet the rule? The question a smart investor asks is, considering everything, cash flow, appreciation, equity, taxes, how does this specific property fit into my total long-term investment strategy? And that, my friends, is a question no simple rule could ever answer for you.